You're watching The World with me, Charles Anyegulu. The United States is evacuating some staff and their families from its embassy in Iraq, as well as from military bases in Kuwait and Bahrain because of security concerns. American officials have reportedly been told that Israel is ready to launch an operation against Iran. It's not clear whether an attack on Iran is imminent, but it comes as President Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, is going into the region for a sixth round of talks with the Iranians on Sunday. Correspondents say America's partial withdrawal from Baghdad and other parts of the Middle East could be a signal to Iran that the time to reach a diplomatic deal over its nuclear program is coming to an end.
Well, they are being moved out because it could be a dangerous place, and we'll see what happens. But we've given notice to move out, and we'll see what happens. They can't have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon. We're not going to allow that.
President Trump. Meanwhile, the UN's nuclear watchdog has passed a resolution declaring that Iran has failed to comply with its nuclear safeguard obligations. The resolution calls on Iran to explain nuclear material found at several locations not declared as nuclear sites by Tehran. It said the many failures to provide the IAEA with full answers about its undeclared nuclear material and activities constituted non-compliance. It also noted the head of the IAEA's serious concern about Iran's rapid accumulation of highly enriched uranium. The resolution carries the threat of an eventual referral to the UN Security Council.
Today we witnessed that the Board of Governors of the IAEA was completely divided, and a politically motivated resolution submitted by E3 and US adopted with the lowest possible vote. This is the second time that the Board of Governors would not support completely a resolution. The resolution unfortunately adopted, and we stated before the adoption of the resolution that Iran will not stand still. We react very strongly, and as my minister stated yesterday, another major strategic mistake by E3, which will be faced by a strong reaction from Iran. We will announce some new measures to the IAEA, and they should bear, the sponsors of the resolution should bear the consequences of the resolution they tabled in the Board of Governors meeting. Thank you very much.
Well, for more of these stories around Iran, I'm joined now on the line from London by the international affairs analyst, Dr. Marek Lazciewicz. Dr. Lazciewicz, thank you very much indeed for joining us. The US evacuating non-essential staff and their dependents from Iraq, the embassy there, as well as military bases in Kuwait and Iran. There appear to be growing concerns about the regional security situation, and those concerns appear to be related to a possible strike by Israel on Iran's nuclear facilities. Just help us understand the context and why this might be happening.
The essential problem is that Iran is one of those countries which does not really accept Israel's existence. And therefore, were it to make a nuclear weapon, the danger is that it would nuke Israel. Israel, and of course its key ally, in many ways sponsor America, does not want this to happen. And the diplomatic talks which have gone on for some time, which were in the very fact they were talking, was encouraging, are on the verge of breakdown. Therefore, as a very strong signal, following the fact that the president has said the talks are in danger of breaking down, and following the fact that Iran has said openly it wants to carry on enriching its uranium, this is a very strong signal by America. By withdrawing its personnel, it means that the diplomatic attempt at the solution is coming to a halt, and this is a strong signal for Iran that unless on this visit now, this week, from America by its envoy. Unless they come to terms with it, then the next step will be some sort of limited war.
And I understand today is the 2-month deadline that President Trump had given Iran over negotiating around its nuclear program. Is that an important moving part in all of this?
Yeah, it's important in the sense that it shows that it's coming to an end. The exact day is of less importance, I think. At the end of the day, he's a businessman, so it is quite possible he's a bit flexible on dates. But it is coming to an end more or less now, and therefore we must expect an Israeli strike. And for this reason, obviously, Trump has withdrawn as many staff as he can because he's worried Iran might strike them as a sense of retaliation.
But then we understand there'll be a 6th round of negotiations between the UN and Iran, possibly in Oman. So if tensions are high, would it be right to assume that those negotiations aren't going very well?
The negotiations are not going very well. And as I said, this is a signal by the USA that an attack is imminent unless they make an agreement. This is very unlikely. It is far more likely than, in fact, there will be an attack in Israel because the talks won't reach a conclusion on Sunday. There is a clear contradiction in their goals. USA and Israel do not want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Iran wants to have a nuclear weapon. Iran, after all, is an independent state and does not see why it should not have a nuclear weapon like other nations do. USA and Israel see Iran as an existential threat to Israel and therefore do not want this to happen. Following an Israeli strike, assuming it were to happen, from that point onwards, we're again into a grey zone where it's hard to predict. But please note, Iran and Russia have linked up. Iran has been supplying Russia with drones.
Could this all be a pressure tactic to scare the Iranians? Because all this seems very public and sudden.
Well, it isn't all that sudden because just previously, Donald Trump has been verbally warning that it's not going well, and Iran has been verbally stating that it does not want to abandon its program. So therefore, it's a ramp up. It's the last, if you like, step that Donald Trump can make to warn Iran that there will soon be a strike unless Iran comes to terms.
How do you think all this is being seen by the leadership in Tehran? Because, I mean, there is a school of thought that says that any Israeli attack on Iran's nuclear facilities will not necessarily kill off its nuclear ambitions. In fact, some analysts say that quite the opposite. It'll drive them to fast-track building a nuclear bomb as a safeguard, because that's what North Korea did, and nobody's attacked North Korea.
Indeed, there is that aspect to it. Actually, Iran was trying to build a nuclear bomb anyway. Whether it can fast track is another aspect. There's no obvious reason why it wouldn't have fast tracked before had it been able to. But the point is, it takes time to build a nuclear bomb. It's not that easy. What everyone might have heard about 2 hours by a university graduate in producing a working design. It is complicated engineering. They are mastering it. There's no question Iran technically sooner or later will be able to make a bomb. Once it has a bomb, to be honest, as for being attacked or not attacked, I'm not convinced it will be a deterrent. But what it will do is it means that Iran, if it wishes to attack Israel, and this is the key problem, will be able to do so. An Israeli attack right now will certainly exacerbate the situation. It will, at best, have a minor delaying aspect, trying to destroy parts of their program, but other parts are presumably underground or well hidden, and therefore Iran will not be, if you like, stopped by this attack, but it certainly will add to tensions, and it will actually imply to Iran that it ought to attack Israel. So we're in one of those very nasty spirals where each move actually simply adds to the problem.
And it doesn't help, does it, that the UN's nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, has passed a resolution declaring that Iran has failed to comply with its nuclear safeguard obligations?
Yeah, here I must admit that the timing is interesting. Why didn't they say so before? There's nothing new about it. Israel has been signaling this for some time. So the implication here is that it's simply adding, if you like, propaganda support, which is important for the USA and Israel. In my opinion, had it really been meant to try and stop Iran enriching, it should have done so before. It should have signaled far before. Right now, before the Israeli strike, it merely has a propaganda effect.
And beyond sort of the nuclear back and forth, in a conventional sense, would it be correct to say that Iran is in a considerably weaker position than it was a couple of years ago, given, first of all, the high discontent at home and what's happened to some of its proxy forces and how they've been maimed, if you like, in Gaza and in Lebanon?
Well, the answer, curiously, is yes and no. You're quite right. The maiming of Iranian allies has undoubtedly taken place. From that point of view, Iran is weaker. Moreover, there's quite clearly that discontent and other aspects like that have weakened it. On the other hand, it actually now has a very good relationship with Russia. The problem here is that Russia is the wild card in all this, and were it to support Iran, then the situation would be dramatically different. As things stand, Russia is still playing the sort of honest broker in all this, fortunately, so it may be possible to do something. But please note, a strike by Israel on Iran may well actually bring into open the sort of alliance we've seen between North Korea and Russia. And that, in effect, will be very dangerous.
And on that rather scary note, I want to thank you very much indeed. Dr. Marek Lazciewicz is the International Affairs Analyst who was talking to me on the line there from London.